Hey everyone, I'm Andrew,
And I'm Emma.
and welcome to All in English channel.
Today, we're going to explore a classic fable called Hercules and the Wagoner. This is one of Aesop's fables, stories that have been teaching important lessons for over 2,000 years.
This fable comes from ancient Greece, and it teaches us a powerful lesson about self-reliance and taking action. Even though it's an old story, the message is still incredibly relevant today.
This story is perfect for B1 intermediate learners. You'll learn some great vocabulary about farming, problem solving, and taking responsibility for your own life.
Today, I'm going to read this story for you first. Listen carefully and try to understand as much as you can. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. That's normal. After I finish reading, Emma and I will explain everything together.
Are you ready? Let's listen.
Hercules and the Wagoner. A farmer was driving his wagon along a miry country road after a heavy rain. The horses could hardly drag the load through the deep mud, and at last came to a standstill when one of the wheels sank to the hub in a rut. The farmer climbed down from his seat and stood beside the wagon looking at it, but without making the least effort to get it out of the rut. All he did was to curse his bad luck and call loudly on Hercules to come to his aid. Then, it is said, Hercules really did appear, saying, "Put your shoulder to the wheel, man, and urge on your horses. Do you think you can move the wagon by simply looking at it and whining about it? Hercules will not help unless you make some effort to help yourself." And when the farmer put his shoulder to the wheel and urged on the horses, the wagon moved very readily, and soon the farmer was riding along in great content and with a good lesson learned. Self-help is the best help. Heaven helps those who help themselves.
Wow, what a powerful little story.
I agree. There's so much wisdom packed into just a few sentences.
Now, let's break this story down together. We'll explain what happened, look at some difficult vocabulary, and explore the deeper meaning.
Whether you understood everything or just got the main idea, this explanation will help you appreciate the story even more.
Let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning. A farmer is driving his wagon on a country road. It's been raining heavily, so the road is very muddy and wet. The conditions are really bad for traveling.
Right. And his horses are pulling the wagon, but it's very difficult because the mud is so deep. They're struggling. Finally, the wagon gets completely stuck. One of the wheels sinks deep into the mud, into what we call a rut, which is like a deep groove or hole in the road.
Exactly. So now the farmer has a problem. His wagon is stuck. But here's the interesting part. What does he do? He climbs down from the wagon and just stands there looking at it. He doesn't try to push it. He doesn't help the horses. He just stares at the problem.
And not only that, he starts complaining. He curses his bad luck, which means he says angry words about how unlucky he is. Then he calls out to Hercules. Now, this is important. In Greek mythology, Hercules was a hero with superhuman strength. He was famous for his incredible power and for completing impossible tasks.
So the farmer is basically asking a god or hero to come and solve his problem for him. He's waiting for someone else to fix everything while he does nothing.
And then something amazing happens. Hercules actually appears. But Hercules doesn't just fix the problem. Instead, he teaches the farmer an important lesson. He tells him, "Put your shoulder to the wheel, man, and urge on your horses."
This means the farmer needs to push the wagon wheel with his own strength and encourage the horses to pull harder. Hercules is saying, "You need to help yourself. I won't do it for you."
Hercules asks him a powerful question. Do you think you can move the wagon by simply looking at it and whining about it? Whining means complaining in an annoying way, like a child who keeps saying, "I don't want to," or "It's not fair."
And finally, when the farmer actually tries to help himself, when he pushes the wheel and encourages his horses, what happens? The wagon moves easily. The problem is solved because he took action.
The story ends with two morals, two lessons. Self-help is the best help, and heaven helps those who help themselves. Both of these mean the same thing. You can't just wait for others to solve your problems. You have to take action yourself first.
Let's look at some key vocabulary. The first word is miry. In the story, it says, a miry country road. This is an old-fashioned word that means muddy and wet, difficult to walk or drive through.
So miry means full of mud or swampy. The author used this word to show just how bad the road conditions were. Here are some other examples. After the storm, the field became miry and we couldn't walk through it. Or the miry path made hiking very difficult.
You might also hear words like muddy, swampy, or boggy. These all describe wet, messy ground.
The next important word is drag. The story says the horses could hardly drag the load through the deep mud. To drag something means to pull it with great difficulty, usually along the ground.
The author chose drag instead of pull to emphasize how hard the horses were working. It wasn't easy pulling, it was difficult, slow dragging. For example, I had to drag the heavy suitcase up the stairs, or the child dragged her feet because she didn't want to go to bed.
You can also use drag in other ways, like this meeting is dragging on, which means it's going very slowly and feels too long. Now let's look at came to a standstill. The story says the horses came to a standstill. A standstill is a complete stop when movement becomes impossible.
This phrase is really useful. Come to a standstill means to stop completely, usually because of a problem. Traffic came to a standstill because of the accident. Or the project came to a standstill when we ran out of money.
You might also hear grind to a halt, which has the same meaning. Both phrases describe a complete stop.
The next word is hub. In the story, one of the wheels sank to the hub in a rut. The hub is the center part of a wheel where it connects to the axle.
When the wheels sank to the hub, it means it went very deep into the mud. Almost the entire wheel was buried. The author used this detail to show how badly the wagon was stuck. Here's another example. The bicycle's hub was damaged and needed repair.
In modern English, we also use hub to mean a central point or center of activity, like the airport is a major transportation hub.
Let's talk about rut. The story says the wheel sank in a rut. A rut is a deep track or groove worn into the ground, usually by wheels that have passed many times.
Ruts make roads difficult to travel on because wheels can get stuck in them. The old dirt road was full of ruts from years of use, or my car got stuck in a deep rut.
Interestingly, we also use rut in a metaphorical way. If someone says, "I'm stuck in a rut," they mean their life has become boring and repetitive, following the same pattern without change.
That's such a good connection. Just like the wagon wheel, when you're in a rut, you feel stuck and can't move forward easily.
The next expression is curse his bad luck. To curse means to use angry or offensive words, often about something you think is unfair.
When you curse your bad luck, you're complaining angrily about unfortunate things that happen to you. After missing the bus for the third time, he cursed his bad luck. Or she cursed her bad luck when it started raining on her wedding day.
This shows the farmer's attitude. Instead of solving the problem, he's blaming luck, blaming circumstances beyond his control.
Now let's look at put your shoulder to the wheel. This is such a great expression. It means to make a strong physical effort, to push hard with your own strength.
Literally, it means to use your shoulder to push against the wheel to move something heavy. But we use it more broadly to mean working hard on any difficult task. If we all put our shoulders to the wheel, we can finish this project on time.
You might also hear roll up your sleeves, which has a similar meaning of getting ready to work hard.
Another important word is urge. Hercules says, urge on your horses. To urge means to strongly encourage someone or something to do something, to push them forward.
The farmer needed to urge his horses, meaning encourage them strongly, push them to pull harder. The coach urged the team to keep trying, or I urged my friend to apply for the job.
You can also use urge as a noun, meaning a strong desire. I had an urge to eat chocolate.
The last expression we'll cover is whining about it. To whine means to complain in an annoying, high-pitched way, usually about something relatively small.
Whining is different from legitimate complaining. When someone whines, they're not looking for solutions. They're just expressing dissatisfaction in an irritating way. The child was whining about not getting ice cream. Or stop whining and do something about the problem.
Hercules uses this word to criticize the farmer's approach. The farmer is whining, just complaining uselessly, instead of taking action. Now let's talk about the context. This is one of Aesop's fables. Aesop was a storyteller who lived in ancient Greece around 600 BCE, more than 2,500 years ago.
Aesop's fables are short stories that teach moral lessons. They often feature animals, or, like this one, interactions between humans and gods. These stories were originally told orally, passed from person to person, before being written down.
This is important for understanding why the characters act the way they do. In ancient Greek culture, people believed in many gods and heroes. Hercules was one of the most famous heroes in Greek mythology.
Hercules was known for his 12 labors, incredibly difficult tasks that required superhuman strength. He was the hero you would call on when you had an impossible problem. So when the farmer calls on Hercules, he's asking for divine intervention, for supernatural help.
In that culture, it was normal to pray to gods or call on heroes for help with problems. But here's the interesting thing. Even though Hercules appears, he doesn't just solve the problem magically, he teaches a lesson instead.
This reflects an important value in Greek philosophy. Self-reliance, taking responsibility for yourself, was highly valued. The Greeks believed that the gods help those who help themselves, not those who sit around waiting for miracles.
You also need to know about transportation in ancient times. There were no cars, no paved roads. Farmers used wooden wagons pulled by horses or oxen to transport goods and crops.
Roads were often just dirt paths, and after heavy rain, they became muddy nightmares. Getting stuck was a common, frustrating problem. Any farmer in ancient Greece would have experienced this situation many times.
So the original audience would have immediately understood the farmer's frustration. They'd been there themselves. This made the moral lesson even more powerful.
It's also worth noting that this fable has survived for thousands of years and appears in different cultures around the world. The lesson is universal. Different cultures tell similar stories with the same message. So what is this story really about? On the surface, it's about a farmer with a stuck wagon, but there's a much deeper meaning here.
The main theme is personal responsibility and self-reliance. The farmer represents anyone who waits for someone else to solve their problems instead of taking action themselves.
We can see this theme clearly in the farmer's behavior. He has a problem, a stuck wagon, but what does he do? Nothing. He just stands there, complains, and hopes someone else will fix it for him.
This is such a common human tendency, isn't it? When we face difficulties, it's tempting to blame our circumstances, blame bad luck, or wait for someone to rescue us.
The author also uses contrast to make the point stronger. Notice the difference between the farmer's expectation and reality. The farmer expects Hercules to move the wagon for him, but Hercules teaches him that he must move it himself.
And here's something really interesting. When the farmer finally does put his shoulder to the wheel and urge on his horses, the story says the wagon moved very readily. That means it moved easily.
This suggests that the problem wasn't as impossible as the farmer thought. He could have solved it himself all along. He just needed to try. How many of our problems are like this? We think they're impossible, but if we just take action, they become manageable.
The story also explores the relationship between human effort and divine help. Hercules does appear, which shows that the gods are watching and willing to help, but they only help after we help ourselves.
The two morals at the end, self-help is the best help, and heaven helps those who help themselves, are both saying that divine assistance, or good fortune, comes to those who take initiative, not to those who passively wait.
Different readers might interpret this story in different ways. Some people see it as purely about self-reliance. Don't depend on others, solve your own problems.
Others might see it as a balance. It's okay to ask for help, but you must also be willing to help yourself. You can't expect others to do everything for you.
What do you think? Have you ever had a situation where you waited for help that never came and then discovered you could solve the problem yourself? This fable asks us to think about our own behavior when we face challenges.
So that's our analysis of Hercules and the Wagoner. Let's quickly review what we covered today. First, we learned about a farmer whose wagon gets stuck in the mud, and instead of helping himself, he just complains and calls for Hercules to save him.
Second, Hercules appears but doesn't solve the problem for him. Instead, he teaches the farmer to put his shoulder to the wheel and help himself.
Third, when the farmer finally takes action, the wagon moves easily and he learns an important lesson about self-reliance.
We also learned 10 important vocabulary words and expressions, including miry, which means muddy and swampy, drag, which means to pull something with great difficulty, and put your shoulder to the wheel, which means to make a strong effort to solve a problem.
Here's a question for you. Think about a time when you faced a difficult problem. Did you wait for help? Or did you put your shoulder to the wheel and solve it yourself? How did that feel?
Remember, understanding stories in English is about more than just vocabulary. It's about understanding culture, context, and the deeper meanings that connect across thousands of years.
We hope this explanation helped you appreciate this ancient fable even more. The wisdom of heaven helps those who help themselves is just as true today as it was in ancient Greece.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We analyze new stories every week.
And guess what? We prepared something special just for you. After this episode, you can download our vocabulary reference sheet, a complete word list with clear definitions and real-life examples to help you remember everything you learned. It's the perfect way to review and turn today's story into real progress. And for teachers, we added a bonus section, discussion questions, designed to spark conversation and make your classes more engaging and interactive. The link will be in the first pinned comment. And the best part, this material is completely free because we truly love and appreciate our listeners. So don't miss it. Grab the file, keep learning, and let this story take your English even further. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Emma.
And this is All in English Channel. See you next time.